Welcome to another live stream. Welcome to the studio. My name is Keith Bennett, and if you've never been with us before, I want to welcome you here to Life Journey Production Studios, where tonight we're going to be talking about light and how it matters. So if you saw my still image, and we're going to cut to that here in a little bit, you can see what happens when I turn all the lights off and just leave Mr. Sun coming in the window, because that's a legit sun outside. Obviously, it's now 4 o'clock here in the state of Washington on the West Coast. So the sun isn't shining straight in, so you can actually make out the house across the street. I have my lamp right here, and people can walk right by my window during the live stream. So even when this light's on and all the other lights are off, this room looks completely different. So I want to welcome you tonight as we talk about light matters for video, light matters for photography, light matters in general, right? Because I can't see if I don't get light in my eyes, and that's why I have these glasses. As my eyes get older, the issue with my eyes is they let less light in, and so this light, these glasses magnify things and probably make my eyes a tiny bit bigger as well. Now, these are my in the studio glasses for reading monitors and all that, so they're not bifocals. And right here are my bifocals. So these are prescription and these are prescription. So this is what I wear normally. So when I look through the bottom, I can see just fine in the studio. But when I look at monitors, it's blurry because the top of my bifocals don't let me see the monitor. So now I'm looking at a confidence monitor. And then if I go to camera 3, I have the prompter and I can look right into the lens, and I'm not tempted to glance up above. So tonight is going to be that light matters. We're going to talk about some different light modifiers tonight. We're going to talk about just how you can use lights. I'm going to talk about the layers of light I have here in the studio. So, and I really want to focus tonight on Q&A. So if you would like to ask questions about my lighting, feel free to do that. Most of the links for my lights are in the description. I had a little issue with running out of fonts to be able to put in the description. Something happened weird. It said I had 5,000 characters, but I was only using 3,000 and it wouldn't let me save. So a couple other links I'll try to get in there tonight. So if you use those Amazon associate links, thank you very much. They do help the channel, and you pay the same, but we do get a little support here on the channel. So couple things of business. I do have subscriber only chat enabled. So that means if you are watching this live and you can't chat, it's because you need to subscribe. And if you don't like the channel and you want to unsubscribe later, that's fine with me. But that helps cut down some of the spam in some of my lives. And I have had people pop in for the very first time and then ask 25 questions. So again, I'm fine with the questions. I won't be able to get to 25 questions probably from one person, but I will do my best tonight to answer your questions. Also, if you put a Q at the beginning of a question, it's really easy for me to see that. So Q, colon, and then the question. If you're just chatting with other people, that's perfectly fine, because I'd love to have you greet each other, say hi to each other. Some people have already popped in the chat early tonight, let me know they weren't going to be here. So tghe Jay's not going to be here tonight. He's going to a movie. So you'll see that in the chat. So some of you said hi early, and we're going to pop into the chat here in a minute. So the other thing I want to say is we've been going 2.5 hours. I'm going to try to shorten that up now for the summer schedule. Sorry, I didn't get that started earlier. But many of you have other things that you can do, other channels you can go to. So we're going to probably stick around 1:15 to 1:30 max on these live streams for most of the rest of the summer. Also cutting down to 1 or 2 topics instead of 3. When I get back into the fall schedule, we might do some unboxings and have a couple different topics. But tonight, there's enough to cover in just this one topic, that light matters, that's where we're going to be for a while. So we're going to dive into that topic here in just a few minutes. But for right now, we want to say hi to everybody in the chat. And so let me make sure I'm ready to go here. We'll go all the way back up here to Gris. Let's turn chat on. So Gris said, what a difference in the thumbnail. Yeah, so, and obviously he added the slang dang at the very beginning. So yeah, I woke up this morning thinking about this light topic and how I would approach it. And as I got thinking about that, Grish, I actually considered that the best way to demonstrate that on a still would be to turn all the lights that I use here in the studio off and then take a photograph with using the still image generator in Blackmagic Design. And if you don't know that, there's two ways to take still images in Blackmagic Design. Let me just drag this over. We might as well cover this right now while we're talking about it in the chat. And I'll just leave Griss's chat up there. Let's see. Let's go this one right here. Should work. So if you want to take a still image, you can actually do it in the media pool right here. On the bottom right here, if I had an empty slot, so we'll make one. Here's the still image from my new video on the channel, so make sure you watch that. So let's do this. Let's remove this one. And as soon as I do, I can capture a still. So let me capture a still, and you'll see this appear. Gonna hit the mouse button. And there it is. Let's move the macros out of the way. And so here it is in that slot. This is slot number 11. And then if you go over, let's see, can I go over here? Let's go to palettes. Hopefully I didn't just, let's see here. I will go up here and connect ISO 2. Gonna go up here to output, and down here you can see capture still image as well. So it's on the bottom of the output page. So two ways that you can capture stills using the capture feature inside your Blackmagic Design switchers, and that should be all of them from the ATEM Mini, which they don't make anymore, to the ATEM Mini Pro, which is the first ATEM now that you can purchase of models they still sell by Blackmagic Design. And by the way, there is a couple little .1, .2 updates to 9.5, the ATEM control software. So it's supposed to do some bug fixes. I updated yesterday. So tonight is the first time I'm using the new ATEM control software as I stream tonight. So that is kind of a response to Grish's comment here. Let's just keep busting through the chat right here. And Hank says, checking in from Bluffton, South Carolina, looking forward to an illuminating session. Yeah, that's a nice little, I feel like we're going to get some lighting puns tonight. That should be a lot of fun. Here's where Jay said he checked in earlier tonight and said he is going to a movie. I hope they have a great time. He said he'll watch tomorrow. I hope so. Ernesto, it's good to have you here. Keith, happy Tuesday. Yeah, I'm enjoying Tuesdays lately. I went through a series of weeks where I was really struggling with what to share, what to do. I actually was under the weather for about a week and a half, started feeling pretty normal yesterday. So it's a little bit more overwhelming when you're planning a live stream and you want to make it something that people are going to want to listen to, obviously. Let's hit record. So I'm recording here right now. So I'm kind of looking forward to the live streams now, trying to be a little bit more calm. I spent almost the whole day getting ready today. I spent up until about 9:45 reading on the back porch with my waterfall / fountain going. And so it's good to have you guys here. Thanks for saying hi, Chio. It is great to have you as well. Chio said this earlier tonight in the chat. The Android Blackmagic camera app gets an update with some needed features that were only on the iPhone. So again, yeah, there's some ability in some of the Blackmagic Design cameras. I think it's a 6K Pro, and then one of the cinema cameras up from that. It'll now do record H.264 proxies and then upload those to the cloud. I think that is the major update. But Chio, you can correct me and give us an update of what has been added in the chat. That would be cool. I'll yield to you, Beans. It's your comment. Is anything trying the ISO 18 beta, and how do you like it so far? I'm not trying it, but those of you can comment that are. I updated to the iOS 18 yesterday, and I feel, it almost makes it look like an Android phone in my eyes for some reason. So I know that the new app is available for Android now as well, not just Apple. So I don't know if that's kind of what we're talking about here, but that's great. Tony, it's good to have you here from Cape Fear region, North Carolina. Good seafood there in Tony's backyard. Hi, Keith. The audio is a little lower than normal. Let's look and see what's happening with the audio here. Check. Let's get back to the right ATEM here. My microphone's kind of far away too, Tony. I apologize for that. So it looks pretty normal. So keep me posted on that and let me know. I just did not really, I'm scooted back a little bit tonight. I have things to do behind me. So you can see I have a light in the ready on my C-stand here for tonight, because we're going to be talking about how much light matters. We're going to talk about the layers of light I have in the studio. We're going to talk about the different kind of lights I use, why I'm using them. Some of them are because where my desk is situated. I'm going to talk about some of the best lighting that you could use for your key light in your studio and why. So lots of cool things to talk about tonight. And yeah, thank you for that reminder, Tony. I did push record, and hopefully I have enough space on there to do tonight's live stream. I think it's 8.5, I think, is the update for the HybridX Geo. So you definitely want to update your newer HybridX. Obviously, the old HybridX Mini doesn't have any more updates, but all the new HybridX that were released, I think now almost 2 years ago, they can be updated. Grish is back in. I talked about your comment earlier, Grish, so you can go back and watch that if you missed that. Keith, do you know, is there a way to adjust the output levels of the audio on the original HybridX Studio Mini? Is there a way to, oh, wow, that's a great question. Let me think back. Audio levels. No, I think I have it right here. I think the audio levels, Tony, there is audio channels. Let's hit set, and let me scroll down here, hit enter. You have the ability to choose between 2, 4, 8, and 16 channels. So let me go back here in the menu. Let's see, what else do we have? Audio channels, format the card. I definitely don't want to do that. Time code, networking, settings. Yeah, you can adjust the audio meters, but I do not think that there's any way to adjust the audio. So it would be whatever audio levels you're putting in is what you're going to get. So obviously, if you're coming in, the old HybridX Mini does not have an HDMI in, so you got to come in SDI. So whatever you've embedded into that SDI cable is what you're going to get coming back out again. I don't think the older HybridX Mini or the new HybridX has any of those features. So, man, I think my camera was focusing on my condenser microphone. It flipped over, so hopefully that hasn't been blurry all this time, because I do have my better glasses on here. So anyway, I hope that answers your question, Tony. Chio says, yes, I'm talking about the Android app. It added the ability to use LUTs, clean HDMI feeds, and a few other features. So yeah, Android is now the Blackmagic Design camera app, which is an incredible app, by the way. I have it on my iPhone. I do use it for shooting video. I like to be able to adjust all the levels. It really takes over the iPhone, and now it's going to take over Android. So, and the latest update is 8.4.1, and that is for the HybridX. So, okay, so that's it, man. That's all that's here tonight. So thank you so much for joining me. tonight. Those of you that are in the chat, and if you are watching and you're not chatting with me, all you have to do is subscribe. 1 minute later, you'll be able to chat with us as well. We would love to have you join the conversation. The topic tonight is lighting, and there's lots of different type lights. I'm going to walk around the studio and talk about different lights I have here. We have another camera angle. Let me turn this off and back on again here. And change awful dark. Let me fix this real quick. Okay, we'll get back there in a minute. So I wanted to do just a little bit of introduction. I do see one more throw in here. There you go. Thanks for checking on the audio levels. I'll explain why I asked in a offline conversation. Okay, well, I'd love to do that. Also, just a quick commercial. This is not a sponsored live stream. All the products that I'm going to share about tonight, things I purchased. There may be a few items in my studio that friends gifted me. But other than that, everything you see, from the TV hanging on the wall to the monitors to the microphones, all of that, believe it or not, came out of my pocket. When I think about the cost of everything in the studio, I don't know how I ever came up with the money. None of it's financed. None of it's on a credit card. It's all been paid cash. And part of the way you could support the channel, if you'd like to, or support what I'm doing, obviously, is like the videos, as well as share the videos. That would be great. Go and consume some of the other videos in my channel. And there's lots of videos here. I've covered lighting before. I've looked at tripods. I did a pretty big comparison of the Elgato key light mini, key light air. I've covered MC lights, which are aperture lights. Now there's a newer version that's about twice as bright. That's $200, and you can buy the regular MC lights, which I'll talk about tonight. We'll pull one off the shelf back there. You can buy those for under $100, and they're great. You can run them from the ShutterStock app, and the new aperture lights you can run from the ShutterStock app as well. So I am a big aperture light fan, even though none of my bigger lights in my studio are aperture lights, just because I've purchased them over the years and fallen in love with aperture since then. So, okay. So I think I've caught up with everybody and said hi to everybody. So if you pop in later, I will catch up. So let's take a sip of water. Okay. So let's do this. We are going to go to SuperSource here, and we'll do this view. And then I'm going to take over box 2. This is a hostile takeover tonight. And what I'm going to do here is go into SuperSource. Let's just close all these other boxes. And we're going to go into SuperSource, and we're going to go into box 2. And again, if you're ever using SuperSource, it's really simple. You have a screen to change one box at a time. So you have to start by choosing the box. You have to decide if you want that box on the air or not on the air. And you can see right now I have 2 boxes on the air. The one I'm in has been cropped to be portrait. And then the one that I'm not in right there, which is 1080p by 1920 by 1080, which is that box not cropped, full screen. It shows the control software. And so if I want to change what's in box 2, I change over here to box 2. Then I just decide what I want to put in there. And right now, what I want to put in there, believe it or not, is going to be Media Player 1. So now, right now, I have my logo down there because it's loaded in my media pool. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my still image right over my logo in the media pool and bang, back to having the still image next to me. So you can see in the bottom section, I was in this camera angle and I turned off all the lights in the studio. It was morning, so the sun is brightest in the morning. So right now you can tell that I took that picture early in the morning, and then I took the picture up on top later in the day because I decided, you know what? I want to add the other angle. That angle is right here. So I can switch to it. That didn't work. Turn this off. Switch to it. So that angle was a little later in the day, and I took that shot, and we're going to use this camera angle tonight. So turn that logo off. So again, you can see on the top that that camera is even darker than the one below because of the exposure settings on the camera. So then you can see it with all my lights on. And so I never changed the exposure on the camera on the top. I just turned all the lights in the studio, and then I have certain adjustments. Like this is my Godox lights, which I use to light the back of the room. So the chairs that you see in the photograph, and when I cut to this view, you see the chairs. I use the Godox lights in the ceiling to light up that back part of the studio, the floor and the chairs, because the chairs are actually a set in my studio. So in my studio, not only do I have to have lights for my desk, and I have to have lights to create depth, like these ones on the shelf help create depth. But if you look in the top right of this still image, I have to have lights on those chairs. So if I do have a guest come in the studio, or I'm doing an interview, or if I'm doing a talking head video in the chairs, or even if I set up the table behind me and the window, and sometimes I take those chairs out of the studio. Sometimes I just set the table up and bar stools right in front of it. And if I do a podcast video, then I need to have lights on the people at the desk for the podcast. So the same two overhead lights, which we're going to look at tonight, do two things, actually three things. They light that back of the studio, those chairs. They also light the table when I set up the table and the bar stools between the chairs and my desk. And then also I use one of the Godox lights and I turn it towards me, and I use it as kind of a rim light. And that rim light hits right here on top of my TV, and it kind of creates a rim. It puts a rim on my chair behind me. And if I aim it even closer to me, then I can get more light on my shoulders. And you can see that light's kind of on my shoulder right here. So that is what we would call a hair light or a separation light. And it's really good if you can have that come all the way around. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, the levels of light. So now, because we're going to be talking about this topic most of the night, and let's go ahead and do this real quick. It's good to have you, Joe. Thanks for showing up. Just wanted to stop and say hi to Joe. So in order to move from the desk to the lights in the back, we need to talk about levels of light. So the first level of light I want to talk about tonight is what we would call a key light. What is a key light? Well, it's the main light on you or your subject, or if you're shooting like products, you're going to have a light on that product. And obviously you can't shoot a product without some kind of light. If you're outside, you have sunlight. If you're in shade, you have shade, which is still light. If you're under the clouds, you have light, but it's softer light because the clouds are like giant softboxes. But in order to shoot that with a photograph, shoot it with a gun, you need to be able to see it. So not just getting light in your eyes, but there has to be light coming into my eyes, bouncing off of those subjects. So light matters because you can't have a good video, live stream, or team meeting, or Zoom conference, or video podcast, a live stream, doing consulting like I do. You can't do it if there's not light in the room. Now, every bedroom, every room in a house or a business, they have light, but that light's usually a single light above your head. And if you're sitting at a desk, a lot of people grew up with a lamp on their desk. Why did you have a lamp on your desk? Because the other light was back over your head, and that might shine some light on your desk, but you'd have a lamp. And we all grew up with lots of choices of lamps. You had end-table lamps like this with shades on them. You had those lights that had like a tree that you could aim around with big glass balls on it, lights on that. You have chandeliers, you have candlelight, you have sunlight, you have all this different types of light. But the main light, the first layer of light when you are doing video production or you're doing photography, especially like portrait photography, landscape photography, it's the light you have, but you still need light. It's really hard to do landscape photography in the middle of the night. Now you can do super long exposures on a tripod, and you can get star trails, and you can actually make a nighttime scene look like it's daylight to a certain extent by having a long exposure, but you have to have your camera on a tripod because that lens is that shutter is gonna open and stay open for long periods of time. Now, if you do that and you're shooting moving water, the longer the period of time, an ocean or a river flowing down or a waterfall, it's just gonna become a blur because the water never stopped moving. If anybody walks by, you're not even gonna see them if you do a super long exposure. So yeah, you can pull off a landscape shot. You can have an elk walk right in front of your camera, but if you're doing a 10-minute exposure, you're not even gonna know that elk walked across your camera because that lens is taking in light over a long period of time to finally get proper exposure, and then it's gonna close the shutter, and then that picture is gonna be perfectly exposed even in the middle of the night. But when you're shooting video, you can't just do long exposures. That's not even available when you're doing video to most extents. You can do shorter or longer shutter speeds, but the rules are shutter angle, and you really need to be, if you're shooting 30 frames per second, you really need to have your shutter speed at 60, so double. If you're shooting 120 frames per second, because you want to do slow-mo, you need to have your shutter speed in video set to 240 frames a second. If you don't, it just will not look like regular film. So the first layer of light is the light on you. So if we kill it, there's still pretty good, decent room light, right? But look at me. So the first level of light, which is so crucial and so important, is the key light. And so I have a key light by Elgato right here at about 35 degrees. That's the way I like it. The rule usually is somewhere between 35 and 45 degrees off axis and above your camera, so it can't be seen. You don't want it making a big reflection in your glasses so you can see the reflection. So you want it high enough to where you don't get that. And so if you're not wearing glasses, it's not as important. And you also want to get that little reflection in your eye. And I'm far enough from the camera, plus I'm wearing glasses, but I can see it. I got that little reflection of the light in my eye. So not only does that first level of light help light up my face, it also gives me a little twinkle in my eye. Now, I don't just have that light. I have a little fill light over here on my right, and I have another light over here on my left, and I also have a hair light, and you can actually see my hand light up under the hair light. Let's get closer to it. There you go. You can see my hand light up because there's a hair light right here off camera, and you're going to see all of this tonight so we can talk layers of light. So first layer of light is this key light, and then I have fill light just so I don't have any weird shadows in my face. Now, if I wanted structure in my face, then I could turn this side light off and this side light off, and all I would have is this key light. And so this side of my face would have most of the light, and this side of my face would have mostly shadows. So, and I can play with those lights, so we're gonna do that right now. So me and my laptop, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up my lights app. So here are all the Elgato lights I have in my studio, and I can run this app from my phone. I can run it from my Stream Deck. I can run it from my laptop. So this is my Elgato Key Light Air. So this is this light filling me on this side. So I could take this all the way down and lose that light. And then I have Elgato Key Light Desk Cam 2, which is this main light that's on me. And I'll just show you, I can bring this, let's see, right now we're at 68%. I can bring this down or back up again. So we're going to put that back at 68. And then I have this other light over here, which is my key light fill. And so it's barely on. So let me just take that all the way out. And you can see this side of my face became dark. So now you have that kind of light to dark look. And I don't like it. So I usually have this light set right about there just to see my hair start shining on that side. But I really don't want my forehead all shiny. So this is usually at about 11%. And then you can also see I have lots of strip lights. I have two Elgato strip light pros now, and I have one of the Elgato strip light regular lights, and it has an extension on it, and that's what goes over this corner shelf in my studio. So again, I can control these lights, so I can also make them change when I change cameras. So let's go to camera 3 and a logo. So that's this camera, but I don't have the lights on yet for this camera angle. So if I go like this, then I can actually have the lights change. Now this light looks a little different. It's a little more warm, and this is where I do all my consulting, and we call this the Tony Cam Quick Tech Solutions camera / Joe Torelli cam. So anyway, so I can look into my prompter, look directly into the chat, and look directly in to the camera by using this angle. And this light gets turned down. These two lights stay on to provide key and fill. So now this is my key light over here on my right, and this was my key light on camera 2, but now it's my fill light on camera 3. And then I can do the same thing if I switch to the other camera, but I have it pointing to the back of the room. So first and most important is the first level of light. And this light doesn't look that good because it's not for this angle. So again, if I push the button, it switches everything back up. And now it's switched up my lighting to make things look good right here as well. So first level of light is a key light. Then you can have a fill light. Key light's always coming down more like the sun, looks natural, light coming down. A fill light could be up and filling the side of your face, and you can see the shadow as I cover the fill light with my hand on that side. And then also I have a fill light on this side, and you can see the shadow on my face as well. And then you can also do a hair light, which is what I have above me, and I am going to show you guys those lights here in a minute. So that's level 1 of light. So let's stop here for a minute. Let's pause. And why don't you guys put in the chat tonight how many lights that you use if you guys do Zoom, or if you do meetings, or you live stream, or you produce videos in your studio. How many lights are you using at level 1? Do you have a key light? Do you have a fill light? Do you have more than one fill light? Do you have a hair light, or what we would call a rim light that provides this rim around you, maybe some light on your hair? Let me know in the chat right now before we move on. Do you have 1, 2, 3, 4 lights at level 1? And then we're going to talk all about depth. I'm going to show you some modifiers. We're going to talk about other type lights that you use in the room. This lamp really represents a light that you're using to create depth and create warmth in your set. And so we're going to talk about that kind of lighting as well. And even the monitor becomes a light when you think about it. And so you guys can see that. It becomes a light. It creates depth when you put a rim on it like this. It gives you depth because it separates this monitor from that big TV monitor on the wall. And it's hard for you to see the size of this monitor compared to that one, but that's a 65-inch TV, and this is a 27-inch monitor. So 27-inch, 65-inch. So you can see there's some distance between this one and that one. So again, in the chat right now, please participate and let me know if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, or more lights. Now, if it's just an LED light around your desk, it's not providing first layer of light on you, don't count those. We're only talking about that first layer of light, which is on you as the subject. how many of those do you have? So, and then we're going to share these. So chat on the air. Joe wanted to comment on the patches on my gear from my video. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. Chio says, I just have 2 lights, one for key and the other for fill. And that's great. That's really all you need. But I will say that if you do have dark things behind you, now I have pretty bright backgrounds behind me, and I don't do any like really crazy LED colors. That's probably about as crazy you're going to get right now. I do have some LED lights in the corners. I have this one on the table right here, and I have other LED lights on the window. I have these LED lights that go around the desk, and we're going to talk about all of those. But the main 2 lights that Chio is talking about are the ones that are on him in his studio. Joe says he uses 3 lights, but also try to light the background. Yeah, we're going to talk about the background next. Tony's using 3-point lighting in level 1 for videos and live streaming. And again, 3-point lighting usually is key, fill, and separation or hair light. And again, so the darker the hair, the more important it is to have a separation light. A dark shirt, more important to have a separation light. But one way or the other, having this light on me still is that next level of level 1 lighting. Again, basically giving me the ability to feel like this room has 3 dimensions, me and the stuff behind me. And Chio uses an Elgato green screen behind him, which you can key out the background and put whatever you want, and that's really cool as well. But again, as you well know, Chio, you have to light that green screen correctly, and that's a whole nother level of light, and we've covered that here in the channel. So go check it out. Just Google Keith Bennett green screen, and my green screen videos should pop up. So, and if I remember, I'll put a link to that green screen video in the description tonight. For the sports show, so Tony hosts a sports show, which is a remote for him, and he's got videos on his channel about that. He said, the sports show, I use a key light and 2 fill lights and a hair light on the host. So no hair light on the guest, only a hair light on the host. And again, lights get expensive. And if you're remotely doing things, everything takes time setting up. And I think pretty much, Tony, if I remember right, you're a one-man band like I am when I'm out doing lighting and things like that. So, okay, so before we start to talk about level 2, okay, anybody else want to put how many lights you have in the comments? I would love to hear that if you haven't already. So again, level 1, meaning the main lights on you or the item that you're taking photographs of in your studio. But right now we're really talking about live streaming or doing Zoom conferences, go-to-meetings, shooting your videos in your studio. If you shoot videos that you do unboxings, it takes a light. Now, one of the things that we should talk about real quickly, level 1 lighting could be you and the thing you're unboxing too. So you may have to add another guest and have a light on them. So again, when I have a talking head video and it's just one person, then I'm lighting one subject. But if I have 2 people in an interview, that means that I have to have 2 key lights. I may have to have 2 or 3 fill lights, depending. I may even have to have something on the table to light the table. And then you have all of the other things like the hair light and background things. So keep that in mind. And if you're doing unboxings in your studio, you may have to have a light going down on your desk or down on your table, however you unbox. I like to do some of my unboxings in the garage or in the back patio because I got daylight out there. But in reality, when I do things in the studio, I do have to light the desk. Okay, so I want to switch over microphones. I am now on my Wireless Go 2 microphone. It's actually in my pocket, so let me slide this out of the way. Take another sip. I'm quite thirsty tonight. Audio still looks good. Behind me, I have a light which could be used as a key light. One of my challenges here in my studio is my desk is stuck up against the wall. So we're going to go to mobile cam. Here, let me grab my cell phone out of my pocket. Let's fire up the mobile cam. And I'm just going to give you again tonight, some of you have seen this before, but for those that are tuning in for the very first time watching this video, I want them to see the lights on my desk because I've been talking about them. I've turned them off and back on again. So let's do this now. I want to go back to Super Source here. And I'm going to change what's in box 2. Let's close this software here. And let's go back to box 2 and go to input 4. So there's my mobile cam. There's my water for tonight. So that is my key light right there. That is a Elgato key light. It can be controlled from a Stream Deck, which is great. Elgato created the Stream Deck, and Elgato created these lights. And it has a number of diffusers on it. So instead of it being just a bunch of bright LEDs, it does have diffusion. And obviously, the bigger the light, the softer the light is. So that light, because it's so close to me and it's not very wide, it creates not so soft light on my face. But you can see it's right in front of the wall. I don't really have a bunch of space here for a softbox. And then over here is my other camera, which is pointing towards the back of the room right now. And there is another key light. Again, that's the key light by Elgato, and it's controlled by the software and my Stream Deck as well. And then I have this hair light right over my head, and it's on this flex kit. And then that's a key light arm. And that arm, like I've showed before, is attached right there on my monitor mount. So I can swing this monitor out facing the audience back here or my guests, but it's mounted right on that bar. And that gets that hair light above my head. So key light 1, key light 2, and then I didn't buy another key light. I bought an Air because I rarely have these over 50%. And so this at 100% can be as bright as that at 50% basically. This is the key light Air. It's on a weighted stand, and so I just have it sitting here on top of my PC, and it's right here between the two shelves, and that becomes the key light for this. Now, I wish it was over just a little bit further to the right, but I can't go any further with my monitor because it's on my subwoofer. So, and then I have backup drives right here. So my monitor, my Elgato prompter, and my camera's behind that little window right there. So I'm looking right into it right there. And we might as well switch to that camera right now in box 1. So looking right into it right now. This light right here becomes my key light when I'm looking at this camera. And then I just switch to this setting right there. And it changes up the light. And so now if you just look at my face, the light looks a lot better. And so that's my setup. So this is level 1 in my studio. If I'm using that camera, that light's on and that light's on. And then this one is dimmed almost all the way down, but I still have a hair light. When I switch over to this camera, I push this button. It also turns all my lights on, and that button turns all my lights off. But now this becomes really bright. This is quite soft, and this one is quite soft, but then I still have my hair light. And then when I switch to the other camera, which is facing the back of the room, not towards me, I push this button, and then it changes up all of the lights. That becomes super bright, and it becomes a key light for me, even though I'm not anywhere near facing that camera right now. So in box 2, we'll go to that camera. So that's what I would normally be facing me, but this is the best angle right now for you guys so you can still see me on the main camera. So the desk, I'm in a closet, so that's the top of the closet. That was the rack. I covered it with a packing blanket to cut down the sound. And so I really don't have a space back there for a softbox. So I have that light mounted to this metal pole. I have that light mounted to that metal pole. And the way they are mounted is right there is a super clamp. It's kind of hard to see with that light in the way, but there you are with an extension arm. And then there's another one right here, clamped on. And then that light is on that pole, like I said. So I don't have room in my studio. We'll cut to this completely wide here. Camera 4, right? Yeah. So I don't really have room here, guys, for softboxes. So I don't have a softbox there. I just have an Elgato, and it does have really good diffusion on it. And it's a little bit larger, so it's a little softer light than the Air. And this light as well is the same size, so it's soft. And then you guys can see I have a Godox light right there with a nice photo softbox, and it has a grid in it. And we'll talk about what that does. And so there is my Godox light right up there. And then there's the power pack, and it is plugged in. There's another one right here, and I don't have a softbox there. I have barn doors with a honeycomb grid inside of it to direct the light. So there's one mounted there. And then I have a 50 RS there and a 50 RS back there on an auto pole. So that is the lights I have in here, but I want to talk about some modifiers here. So you guys should still be getting good audio. And let's see, we're going to go to camera 1, and it timed out. Perfect timing. So we'll time that back on. So I'm going to move the monitor out of the way, and I will put my camera down. So I'm going to go into this shot. So you guys should see me now, and we're going to lower this light. Let's pull it out here. I'm going to lower this down, crank this up so you guys can see it. I'm going to rotate this just a little bit on the C-stand, and I want to talk about some light modifiers here real quick. So this is what you call a softbox, and this is a rectangle softbox, and this is really good for like a 2-person interview. In fact, the longer one's even better. So you can use these to like shoot one person. If you're doing like a portrait shot, it's really good. You could use this for like on a table. And what this does is it spreads this light way out. This is the little LED light. Let's turn it on. And I don't have it very bright. I'll turn that way down. So, and it has a fan built in. I know you can't see my head, just bear with me. So now, this could be an overhead light shining down on you, your guest, and this would make a really good key light. So if I had room, I could have this all the way up above me. I have a bag on it, and I used a light just like this. My stand is being persnickety tonight. But I could have a light just like this, and I used a rectangular, not a rectangular box, I used a round box, like my Godox up here is in a round box with a grid in it. I could have used that, and I used one like it in my bedroom when I first started live streaming. I made sure there's room next to my desk where my subwoofer is at right now, and I was able to put my key light there on a stand. Not this stand, I have another stand, but this is a great option. So this is a modifier, and I wanted you guys to see in this. So I'm going to come into the shot here on my chair. And so if we pull this open, you have 2 layers of silk. This is to get rid of the hot spot that comes from the light. This is then to soften the light and to expand the light. And what it does is it takes that small pointed light, let's crank it up, and it gives it a nice wide surface. And you can see I'm well overexposed, but I wanted you to see how it takes that bright little element that's about that big, it's a chip, LED chip, and it makes that now hit the diffusion spreads the light out, it hits this silver sides of this. Let's turn the light down so you can see that. It hits the silver sides of this softbox, but it has to go through this first layer of diffusion first in order to really stop the light down. So the light isn't going to be as bright when it goes through that diffusion, but the bigger the light, the softer it does wrap your face. So if you're going to do a professional shoot, you're going to be doing high-end videography and do a talking head video. You're going to use different type softboxes. You're even going to use panels to stop light from coming from windows. You may tape off windows. You just want to control all the light in the room so you can do this. So this is all level 1 light. So you can use a softbox like this. But one of my favorite softboxes, because you can really shape this same light, is this one right here. This softbox right here, you can see it is really tall and slender. Look at that thing. So I haven't even put, this is the first layer of diffusion to stop that real bright hot spot, spreads it all out. And then you have the second layer of diffusion. And we're going to pop this one on so you guys can see it. So I'm going to take this diffusion. And the fastest way to do these is just hit the corner. Take the corner and stick it in the corner. And the further back, the more it cuts the light on the edges. And I like that this has big, wide strips of Velcro on it. And then normally I'll go to the other end of the light and do the corners first. Now all my softboxes, they are like umbrellas. They open and close like an umbrella. I don't like the ones you have to take 25 minutes to put in all the rods. That would drive me crazy. So I've spent the extra money. So all these boxes open and close like an umbrella. So we're just going to get this set up the best we can here just for demo and get this hitting the Velcro so it doesn't let the light bleed through, because that light will create an issue. And we're going to get up and change these. Okay, there you are. So with this, you can really shape the light. So this is really nice. You can use this as a nice rim light on the side of someone who's standing up. So you could have one of these on one side of the interview, stand-up interview, and the other one, and it would provide a nice rim light around the edge of the person. Let's kind of simulate this a little bit. Turn this exposure down just a touch. There you go. And so you could use this on me as just a little bit of a rim light. So I love this kind of light. And there's other modifiers that you can use. This is designed to go on for an umbrella and put an umbrella through it. This is an attachment for my Pulsy Buff flashes. This is barn doors that can go on here. And again, this would be really harsh light. So if you're gonna use a light like this, you're gonna use a grid. This is what a grid looks like. This is designed to go inside this light, this reflector. So this grid just pops in here. And now it's more directional light because the light has to pass through the grid like this, and it's very directional light. If you pull the grid out, then this is very wide light. So the grids really help. These type barn doors help adjust the light. The softboxes come with grid attachments as well. So you just pull these out and you open them up and you Velcro them inside the edges of your softbox. That's what I have on my Godox right here. So if you look at my Godox, it has a grid in it right now. And there's a look at that softbox right there going on my Godox UL 150. And again, this just Velcros in the edges. There you go. And under that is another layer of diffusion. So again, 2 layers of diffusion and a grid. And what that does is direct the light. It doesn't bleed out the edges as much. So that really controls where I'm setting the light, where an LED light like that is just going to go everywhere. So, I also have this is a giant reflector. It's got a softer white interior, and then you just pull these over top. Now these are getting wore out over time, but this is my photo Diox light over my shoulders, and it's a 200 watt. They also make a 100 watt, which is cheaper. But you just pull this diffusion over, and now you have another way to widen up the light and soften it up. We'll put this on. And there you go. So now you have a nice, soft light, and I could use this as a hair light. So now I have it shining down on me for a hair light. So again, there's lots of different lights that you can use in level 1, different type diffusers. You could even add an umbrella, and you could turn an umbrella with the wide part out and use it as a big wide diffuser. It's kind of like a cloud effect. So you'd use a a reflector like this with a place for an umbrella. And then usually those lights have an attachment, which this light does that I'm using. And I could add an umbrella to it. And they're usually just one layer of diffusion or double thickness. And you use that to soften up a little bright bulb like that. And you make it really big. This actually increases the light, helps fill up the umbrella. And then the umbrella makes that nice soft cloud over your face. Barn doors are really important. And again, I have grids that slide right in. So there's a bracket here and a bracket here and a bracket here, and you just slide them in from the top. And I actually have one of those in right now, right up there. So that has the grid in it. And there's a grid slid in there. And that just slides up and out, right like that. And so there's the grid. And we'll slide that back in. I can't see, I'm blinded now. So they make honeycomb grids for these kind of light modifiers with barn doors. They also make grids that Velcro into soft boxes. And again, the barn doors and the honeycomb grids, there's different levels of them, different thickness, and that is to help shape and focus the light. So that's level one. It has been an hour. Let's get ready to talk about level two, which is all the lights in the background. You can actually see my light's still up there as a hair light. So we're going to take that light down, and then we're going to get back to the chat for a few minutes. And we're going to wrap up tonight by talking all the other levels of light, and I'm going to turn them all off so that you can see what this room looks like with only the main level of lights on. So let's go back to super source here. And before we go to chat, you can see I have lights there. I have a TV on. I have my 50 RS is on. I have a MC light right there on the shelf, MC light right over there on the shelf. I have an MC light down there on the shelf. I have the Elgato lights going around there, Light Strip Pro around there. I have LED lights around the plant on the bottom, LED lights going through the window, a lamp, LED lights going around my Batman. I have LED lights inside the Batman. The Batmobile lights up. It's not on right now. The Bat logo lights up. I have the Bat signal on. I have a light right there that's died. That's the MC light that was on that Batman. And then there is a red light on the shelf that's now died too, because I was using them earlier today. And so lights all over the room, and that's all the lights back there, and we're gonna turn all those off so that you guys can see what happens when I remove all the other levels of light in my studio. And then I also have my track lights, which are off every time I'm live, but when I work in here, I can just have those lights on. I don't need to have all these other lights on. So 2 Godox lights are on, hair light, key light 1, key light 2, key light air, lights on the shelf, lights on all the tables, lights in the window, lights on the Manfrotto auto pole, 2 50 RSs by Great Video Maker, and then a bunch of MC lights plus my bat signal on the shelf back there. And we're gonna crank all of those lights off here so you guys can see the difference. And we already have a still image, which I've showed you before, but we're gonna look at those lights off and talk about how they help create depth. So let's get back in the chat right now. put chat back on the air. Tony says all his guests are remote, only the host in the studio. So yeah, you don't need lights on them for sure. That's cool. A one-man show, just like me. Chio says, I do have a third Elgato light, but I'm not using it since I moved my desk into the spare bedroom. Okay, so yeah, and that other light could be a good hair light. So maybe you could just mount it in the ceiling and use it as a hair light to help, or what we call a separation light. Now, a good hair light, separation light is gonna be behind you, and usually to the right or to the left, kind of like a key light. And the best place, I think, to put it is on the same side as the key light. That way, if you do like portraits or turn sideways, then you have good light on both sides of you, and then the fill light fills the other side of you. But you can put the key light on the right or the left behind you to taste. Keith, we have to get you using SRT mobile app so that you can use your phone as another cam without being tethered. Yeah, I do need to do that, Tony. I don't like any delay, so having it tethered really cuts down on the lip delay. And so I've been using it tethered. I also can use it on my Apple TV, which creates latency, but obviously I know SRT should be really, really fast. And there's also an app that I've used on my computer. I forget what it's called right now, that will let me use this going directly into my Elgato camera software. I've used it before, and I actually demoed that one night, and I think that's similar to SRT, but I might be wrong. And then Chio, Tony's asking you if you have a YouTube channel. Okay, so that catches up in the chat. So let's start turning some levels off, okay? So let's start by, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna turn the other MC lights off so I can bring one on camera. So I'm still on the wireless mic, so let's do that. So these are my Aperture MC lights, and I use those just to add lights in the background. I also have a bulb version of this, which is great because that's how you charge it. It's got a battery built into it. These also have batteries. They also have magnets in the back. And there's a new Pro version of this. These are under $100. The Pros are still $200, but I have diffusers for all of these. So the diffusers are just rubber that you put on. I rarely use the diffusers, but this one stays in my case, and this is actually a bumper pad for it. This is the only one that I don't have a charger station for, so I plug it into a USB-C charging port rather than being able to charge it, because they have the ability to set them down on a wireless charger, which is really cool. So I love these. These are from Aperture, the original MCs. They're programmable. They have most of the colors of the rainbow. They're also bicolor. So you can do warm light, like candlelight, all the way up to daylight, really beyond daylight. And so I have 5 of these, and 4 just drop into case on portable chargers, and I plug it in and I can charge them. So there's a DIY video on how I built that case all by hand. So these were lighting up that shelf in the corner back there, and they were lighting up the other display here. Make sure camera 1 is still on. It is. So they were lighting up, what happened here? Camera 1. They were lighting up the shelf, and so the shelf now only has 1 light on it. So we're going to turn off now the light strip that's on there. And again, you're going to see how these layers of light in my studio really help. So let's see. This is the light strip on the shelf. So there it goes. So now let's lose the light, the LED lights on the window and around the plant on the bottom. Oops, my camera timed out. Sorry about that, I actually hit the wrong button. Let's try the lights on the shelf. Off. There they go. So now you can see out the window. There's no lights on the shelf. Let's turn the light off around Batman there. So now we lost the light around Batman. I'm going to turn the light off beside me, so I'll turn this one on. So we're going to see this little LED light go off right under my monitor. So now all the LED lights are off. Now let's get rid of the ones above here, the great video makers. Let's go back to the other view now, so you guys can see those go off. And I'm going to go to a wider shot now. There they are. Let's move this monitor further out of the way. Okay, we'll tighten this up just a little bit. So now we're going to turn those off, and I have them on switches. Actually, I have those on these switches. So let's turn those lights off. And we have one more light, and that's the bat signal. The Batman. But wait for it. There's still the Godox lights. Those are the two light boxes. The one has the barn doors on it that's over above the monitor, and then the other one is right up here lighting the chairs. So watch what happens to those chairs when we turn this off. And there it is off. So you can see how important it is to have all these layers of light. Now, if we start turning off my lights at my desk, let's say I turn my hair light off, right? So let's turn my Key Light Mini hair light off. It just went off. Let's turn the fill light off. Fill light's off. Let's turn the Key Light air off, which is over my prompter. Oh my goodness, all I have left is my one key light. So there's lots of people that stream like this. We just turn that up a little bit, give myself a little bit more light now because I really need it to fill out this shot. I look nice and bright, the background's pretty dark. So I could obviously let my camera adjust auto ISO, but I turned it off specifically tonight. So when the lights go off, you can see it. But wait, I haven't turned all the lights off because I still have my TV on, right? So let's turn my Samsung 65-inch TV off. Oh my goodness. And then there's my monitor, right? I got this monitor in the background, which helps create depth on my live stream. Let's turn that off. Can you see? Light matters. It sure does. It matters. So let's turn a few of these back on and brighten the room up a bit by just adding those guys. Let's fire back up the light on the window. Let's bring my monitor back on the air here. Let's bring the TV back on. Finally, it was fighting me. Obviously, Let's turn the 50 RSs back on. And it looks like an average live stream again, but we still need to turn the Godox lights back on to give us a little bit more room light behind me because I like it more bright and cheery. So those lights are back on again, and I could raise and lower the brightness of those. So there is no bat signal on, there's no MC light on. You can take a look at what the room looks like now. Let's get the monitor out of your way. So there's what it looks like, but it's still really not enough light. So I continue to add more light and more depth to my shot for obvious reasons. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this look at why light matters. And let's just adjust the main lights again to my button. So now I have my EOS R tonight, my Canon EOS R set at ISO 800. In all honesty, normally I have it on auto ISO. So let's watch what happens when I turn it on auto ISO. So that's auto ISO. So it adjusts based on me. So as long as it sees me, it usually adjusts the light. But I like to set that, if I'm not going to do anything crazy in the studio, I like to set that at right around 800. My shutter speed is at 60 frames per second. I'm shooting 1080p 29.59 frame rate, and my aperture is 5.6. And I could change my aperture. I could melt out the background. So watch this. Go down to F4 and it blurs out the background more. So normally I have it at 5.6, but we'll end tonight at F4. F4 lets more light into the lens, and what it does is it makes this stuff look more blurry. Now I have a lens that'll go down to 1.2. It's a 50 millimeter, and that would really blur everything from my nose to my ears. So if I focus on my ears, my nose will be semi-blurry. If I focus on my nose, my ears would be semi-blurry. That's what an f-stop of 1.2 will do. So f.4 is a little bit low, which is actually wider, lets more light in. I like to leave it at 5.6. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust it back. That's why I love the touch screen on my EOS R flip out lens. And right now looking at it, it looks a little underexposed. So it could be a little brighter here in the studio. So now it's gonna automatically adjust that. So that means that I could bring my main key light up in brightness. And that's probably a little better, but you can also see that we start to lose this monitor brightness if I get too bright. So I kind of like to keep this pretty bright. And so obviously your camera quality is important. That's what I wanted to close with tonight. But if you don't have good light, you could have a $5,000 DSLR. You could have a very expensive cinema camera, spend $10,000 on a cinema camera, see all the video footage online and think, wow, that is the most beautiful footage I have ever seen. And come to find out, if you don't have good light, if you don't know how to control the light, if you don't know how to shape the light, if you don't know how to add layers of light in your productions, then that beautiful, expensive camera, quality lenses, all of that will not get you the results that you really want, because everything has to start with light. So the main key light is crucial. If that's the sun, remember, if it's middle of the day and the sun has no clouds, that's very, very hard light. Then you could diffuse it, which is the last thing I wanted to talk about tonight. It's really hard to get this over the sun. Get the sun to hold still while you put this over top. It's not going to happen. So then you have different type diffusers and reflectors, and we're actually going to pull this out. So I have a mount. I can put this on my C stand. I have one of these that's 4x8. And so this is the reflector section. And you can see it's really old. The silver's all wore off. And this side is for cutting light. So if you don't want any light on the subject, You could cut the light. You could use this behind someone for a headshot. If you're just doing something for LinkedIn, I could actually get away with this. If this was a green screen, I could put it behind me, but underneath this is another layer. So if I unzip this, then I have a diffuser. So I can put this over the light of the window. So I'll show you how this works. Sorry about that. Cut back to this camera and microphone. So now I'm diffusing the sun. So you can actually see outside better with the diffuser. So it's actually cutting the light from outside, and you can grab a big one of these. They have different stops, but you can stop down the light and you can see it creates shadows, but it's literally stopping down that window light. And it can also cut down the clearness of the exposure and the focus. So keep that in mind when you use that type of tool. What is going on here tonight? Things are not switching like they're supposed to. My switcher is set to 4 seconds. I don't know how that happened. I probably demoed it. So let me hit save startup state here. So now when I switch cameras, it's fast. So cutting from black back to the other camera. So that is it for tonight. We have talked about level 1 of light, which is basically your key light, your fill light. You could have another fill on the other side like I have right now. Then you could have a hair light on you, which I have up here. And when I turn my monitor back, that light moves right above my head. And right now it's a little too much on this side. So I try to get it over here, shining down on me. So 4 lights here at the desk, 2 lights shining in the back of the room, 250 RSs shining in the corners of the room and down. I light up my chairs with the Godox lights in my studio and all kinds of layers of lights. Then you add the LED lights. It adds this cool little light right here. And then if you cut to the other level, you can see I have this light. Let's see if I can see my finger, this light right here. Plus I have lights down there on the plant, lights on the window seal, and then the 50 RS lights up in the sky in the back of my room. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's topic. Let's get back in the chat and wrap things up. Gio says he has a few public videos on it, so he does have a channel, so you can go over and check out Gio's channel. Says, I mainly use equipment for meetings for creating instruction videos for my clients. So consulting, that's really cool. Lots of people are using all this technology just to have meetings at home. That's perfectly fine. So literally, some people are doing live streaming, some people are doing videos, some people are doing meetings. Lots and lots of people are working from home. All of this technology applies to that. So if you just need to have meetings with different business people, if you want to just start networking on Zoom, then make sure your setup looks quality. Make it look businesslike. Make it look appealing. Make sure your cameras are focused. Make sure you have good lighting, and make sure that you have a good microphone, because the audio, the video quality, and the lighting really is important in your studio. And if you don't really have a nice background, then you could use a green screen and create your own background. The ATEM switchers have a chroma keyer built in, and Blackmagic Design actually makes a new chroma keyer. So you can buy one for each camera, and they do an amazing job of keying. So if you want even a higher quality key, go to Blackmagic's site and check out their keyer. I'm going to bring it up here real quick just because I can. Products. Ultimats. And here they are right here. So these are the Ultimats. This one right here does HD, and it's only $4.95. So you would go into it and then back out of it to your live stream. So you would have to bring that into your computer through like a Cam Link adapter by Elgato. If you want to use a real camera, I guess you could use well, it's actually designed for a real camera. I don't think you can use a webcam with that. With a webcam, you'd have to use some other keyer built into your computer. But they have both versions. They have the Ultramat 12 that has more key and features. Here's the Ultramat 12 4K. So it has a lot more ability to key out different things. And you can see a set right here, what it looks like once they start using these keyers. So camera 1 has a keyer on it. Camera 2 has a keyer on it. Camera 3 and 4. And you can see everything's keyed out using a Ultramat, and pretty powerful, but each camera would have to have a keyer on it. Now, with your ATEM control software, you have a keyer built into your keys. So you have, I think you can use up to 4 of your keys in an extreme, and the HD 2ME models have keys, mini keys as well. So as long as you can chroma key out each camera, then you could just use the keyer built into your switchers and not have to buy these higher end keyers. So Tony says, very cool. Gio likes the one light better, the dark mode. Great, I'm glad you do. That makes one of us tonight. I like all the lights that you see right now, obviously, or I wouldn't be using them. You're right, Keith, even a junk camera can look good with good lighting. Yeah, so you don't have to buy a super high quality camera. You could buy a web camera, just get something that's 1080p, get something quality. I wouldn't get anything less quality than like the Elgato, what is it, Facecam Pro. It has autofocus built into it. The regular Facecam is a great camera, but it doesn't have autofocus built in, so you got to have it a certain distance away, between 1 and 3 feet. Then Logitech makes a new camera that's really quality. Razer makes a real quality camera. You can do an instant 360 link, which I have 2 in my studio. Again, they both worked until right before we went live. Only one is working right now, but that's this camera right here. I'll bring it on the air so you guys can see it. That would be PC. So that's my link, and you can set positions for it. So I can program 6 different locations. So with good light, even that is a good camera. So not near the quality of my Canon camera, but it is still a good camera, and you could get away with that. I would not recommend a 720p laptop camera because we're kind of in the HD or 4K era, so keep that in mind. Let's finish up the chat here. Most of the people I have, let's put chat on the air like this, sorry. Come on. Chio, most people I have meetings with are using a laptop webcam, laugh out loud. Yeah, so that's great for them, but if you're leading the meetings, Chio, I would really recommend to have a really good quality setup because, again, it leaves a lasting impression on the people you're meeting with. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be so over the top, but I would just say if you could have some good quality. The moral of the story tonight is light matters for video, light matters for photography. If you want to shoot products, you need to have good lighting, and the tools that I have, these are great lights, especially with the softboxes on to shoot products. So you can set these up. You can even mount them. They have a screw mount on the bottom. So you could use these to light products. You can use the softboxes I showed you to light products. You can do a lot of things. Use a lot of the lights that we use. You could use the Elgato lights to light products. Again, photography, videography, just having a room where guests come to hang out needs to have good light so they can see each other and they can participate. So, well, guys, I told you I'd try to stay to an hour, 15 to an hour and a half most here during the summer. So we are going to wrap tonight up. Just want to look at the chat one more time and make sure I haven't missed anybody. So hopefully I got to say hi to you. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed tonight's conversation. Again, these videos only perform as well as the likes do. So if you've enjoyed all this hard work tonight, even if you're not that much into lighting, would you please hit the like button? And would you also go over and watch some of the other videos on lighting that I have here on my channel? I was going to show you guys a few of those videos here as we get ready to roll out. So let's go to my live stream. So this video right here, it is on all the different tripods. So we talked about different tripods in that video. I unboxed a Keylight Air just a few weeks ago. I'm just looking for that video here. Unboxed the DuraCube, and I also unboxed the Elgato Keylight Air. I talked about the DuraCube and the Keylight Air, unboxed both of those that night. So you want to see what the Keylight Air looks like. Also, there's links in the descriptions. So also in all of these videos, there's some on lighting. Here is a light box that I use for shooting 1/6 scale figures, and I can do some products in there as well. This is one of the videos that we did live here, and I demoed that box. Let's see before we roll out here. Looked at some products from last year in this video back around Christmas time, including that light box and the Elgato green screen. This video right here, I went back in time and streamed from OBS like I did. You can see my one softbox I used to use in my bedroom behind my desk. So there it is. I talked about that tonight. So this video I actually streamed live from OBS to go back in time. And that was a lot of fun that night. And I will show you one more video here before we get out of here. Got to go back a while here. Hang on. And here's the video I did on lighting a green screen. So I actually lit the green screen, demoed a green screen in my garage. And there's other videos here on the channel. Just want to let you guys know. So that we've covered lights many times on the channel. We just don't focus on it. But tonight we definitely are talking about how important light is for video, because light matters. I'm Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you in a video again here real soon. Hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and join us as a subscriber so you can chat with us every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in the state of Washington. We try to be live every week, so come join us again on a Tuesday. Until then, I will see you later. Bye-bye.